Hilchos Metam'ei Mishkav Umoshav Perek Rabbi, the laws of those that impart impurity to the things that they lie on and they sit on, chapter 4. Yesterday, in the context of Nida, who was one of the 4 people that are Metam'ei Mishkav Umoshav, the Rambam introduced us to the concept that there are many other elements of impurity associated with Nida, not just a woman who's actually experiencing her menstrual flow, but even if a woman does an internal examination and discovers blood, now there are some rabbinic impurities that come along with that. In some cases, we say mitamis lemafreya, they become impure retroactively. That was the subject in many cases in yesterday's chapter. And today we're going to focus more on this category of dayan shaitan. Dayan shaitan means a woman who discovers a blood flow upon internal examination, and we declare her impure only from here on out, not going backwards. We mentioned one such woman yesterday. That's a woman who has a veses kavua, standard established time, expected time for sighting. So there's no reason to assume that any blood dislodged earlier than when she found it. She's only impure going forward. Today we're going to learn 4 other women who are dayan shaitan and all the rules that apply to them. Says the Rambam Malacha Aleph, Arba Nashim dayan shaitan. There are 4 women who their moment is enough. Moment is enough means they're only impure from this moment on. Ve'enan mitames lemafreya, and they're not considered to be impure retroactively. If they discover blood, again, upon internal examination, we say it's only impure from here on out. The Eluhain, and they are the following 4 women. Me'uberes, a woman who is pregnant. Umenika, a woman who is nursing. Ubesula, a virgin. That's a girl who has never had a menstrual flow before. We're soon going to see there's 2 categories in this. If she's under 12 years old, when it's not even expected to have a period, or when she's above 12 years old, when it is expected. But either way, it's the first time. Uzekena, and an elderly woman. So we have to define halachically what are the definitions for pregnant, nursing, elderly, and this young girl. So the Rambam says, Eizehi me'uberes, what is classified as a pregnant woman? Mishe yukar ubara, the moment her fetus is recognizable, which is according to halacha at 3 months into the pregnancy. Hoisa b'cheskas me'uberes, let's say you have a woman who is presumed to be pregnant. That means she's 3 months into the pregnancy, v'ro'a sodam, and she has a sighting of blood. So now, since she's a me'uberes, technically, she should go into the category of daya shaita, impure only from here on out. But then what happened is the pregnancy ended in an interesting way. Then she miscarried a sack full of air, or another entity which is not an actual baby. So the question now is, does that retroactively tell us that the pregnancy that we thought was a pregnancy wasn't a real pregnancy? And maybe then the blood that she cited should put her into the category of mitames lemafreya and not dayan shaitan. Says the Rambam, no. Nevertheless, harezu becheskasa, she stays under her presumption, the daya shaita, and the rule is that the sighting of blood only was impure from there on out and not backwards. What is the reason for this? So there's 2 explanations in the commentaries. One is that for these matters, this form of birth is considered to be a birth, so it's considered a pregnancy which ended in a birth. Other commentaries explain it in a similar vein, that it doesn't matter what is birthed at the end. Since she went through the typical pregnancy symptoms, that means that her system was in such a way where what's called in the Talmud misulekas damim. The blood is removed from her system. It's not meant to be bleeding consistently as a regular woman would. And therefore, any blood that she experiences during this pregnancy, even if it's not ending in a viable baby, still puts her into the category of daya shaita. But if the blood sighting had come before the pregnancy began to show, only afterwards did the fetus begin to show, that blood sighting which she experienced before then, it's not while she's a me'uberes, it's not while she's halachically considered a pregnant woman, and therefore the impurity there does go backwards meaning, as we learned yesterday, either to 24 hours before or to the last internal examination when she was pure. What's classified as a nursing woman? A woman is classified as nursing for 24 months after she gives birth. Doesn't matter if she's nursing or not. Even if her baby died during this time, or she weaned him early, or she handed him off to a wet nurse, daya shaita. She is considered to be a menika during this time, and any blood that she cites is only impure from there on out. On the flip side, after 24 months, even though it happens to be that she's still nursing, she reverts to the status of all women. Any blood that she cites then will make her impure retroactively, because it's not about the actual act of nursing, it's about the time frame which the sages set aside for nursing. Ezehi besula, what is classified in halacha for these matters? As a virgin girl, kol shaleirasa dam miyameha, a girl who never experienced menstruation in her life. And what we mean is, besulas damim amru, specifically she never experienced the typical blood of nida. Lei besulas besulim, not that she experienced no emergence of blood from her uterus. That could have happened because of other life circumstances, but not the menstrual flow. What does that mean? Ketzat. Afilu nisas. Let's say a woman got married. And she saw blood because of relations as part of the marriage. A yolda, or she gave birth, and experienced the blood flow because of birth. Adayin hi besula le'inyan tuma. Still, she's considered to be a virgin with regards to impurity because she never experienced the menstrual flow. B'daya shaita, and when she does have the initial flow, she'll be considered only impure from there on out. Eza hizikena, what is classified as an elderly woman? Kol she'avru aleha shleisha chadashim, samuch leziknusa v'lo ra'as adam. Once 3 months pass, close to her elderly period, and she didn't see any blood. What's called elderly period? Ve'eza hisamuch leziknusa. What is called close to her old age? Kol shechavreiseha kodesh lezkena b'fanea ve'ena makpedes. If her friends call her old in her presence, and she doesn't care. Women care about their age, care about their youth. You're calling her old. If she's still taking offense, that means she's considered young. Once she stops taking offense, she's considered old. And so once 3 months pass after that, with no sighting of blood, then any future sighting of blood that she sees is irregular, it's abnormal, and it's only impure from there on out. Avru aleha, shalish oynos, v'ra'asa. Let us say that 3 periods, which is a month, 3 months, passed, and a woman in this age saw blood. And then 3 more months pass, or a little less or a little more. And she again sees blood. In other words, at intervals of every 3 months, she's still experiencing a sighting. She hasn't entered yet the stage of elderly, of old age. She's still like any other woman, and she becomes impure in a way that's retroactive as well. Halacha Bey is returning now to the young girl. Besula shara sadam. A young girl that experiences her first initial blood flow. And here, the commentaries say that we're talking about a girl who is 12 years old and up. That means, bodily speaking, she's already reached puberty. She's meant to be experiencing her period. So once she sees the first time, afilu sheifas kol shiva oidelefes, even if it's a non-stop flow, or at least a drip drop, for 7 days straight, harezu pa'amachas. It's all considered to be one sighting. Why is it important whether it's considered one sighting or not? Because, as we're going to see soon, that once a girl experiences a second sighting, the second sighting makes her like any other woman, and from that point forward, she's metam'ei mafreya, also impure retroactively. So we have to know what classifies as the first time, what classifies as the second time. So that Rambam is saying that the initial flow, even if it's an extremely extended and long flow, it only classifies as one time. Ra'as adam upaska the chazra v'ra'asa, whereas if she had seen a sighting, and then it completely stopped, and then she sees again, harezu shtei pa'amim, that is called 2 sightings, even if it happens within a 7-day frame, which typically for nida, once you become a nida for 7 days, you're just considered to be a nida. It's not considered separate flows. But for a besula, in this case, it is considered 2 separate flows, and from this point, she's already metama lemafrei. Halacha gimel tinoikes shaloi higi azman aliros. What if you have a young girl who never had a menstruation, but she's not even meant to? She's under 12 years old. Her time to see didn't even come. The ra'as adam, and she has an experience of a blood flow. So here, she's a little bit more lenient than the girl that's 12 plus. Girl that's 12 plus, 2 strikes, and she's out, up to being metam'ei mafreya. The girl under 12 has 3. The ra'as adam pam rishayno shniya, when she sees blood for the first time and the second time, daya shaita. We're still lenient with her and it's considered to be a abnormal first time blood flow, so the impurity only is from here on out. Rasa pam shlishis mitamas lemafreya. Once she experiences a third sighting, now she's like any other woman, and the impurity begins to go even retroactively. How do we explain this? The way the commentaries explain it is that typically you need 2 times. Even though in Jewish law, in many cases, chazaka, a presumptive status, is established by 3 times. When it comes to this, all you need is 2 times. It's sourced in the Talmud. There's a whole long discussion about this. We're not getting into it. 2 times are the chazaka. So for a girl under 12, Why does she get 3 times? Because the initial time that she experiences a blood flow, since it's so abnormal, she isn't even meant, bodily speaking, to be experiencing a flow, so we completely just attribute that to a fluke. And then, when you have 2 more times, now we say it's a chazaka. That's one way to explain it in the commentaries. The other way is to say no, that even here you need 3 times to be a chazaka, and when it happens, the first time we say it's a fluke, but once it happens 2 more times, we say, you know what, looking back in hindsight, the first time actually wasn't a fluke. So now you have a chazaka. When a girl is 12 plus, she doesn't need the 3 times for chazaka, because anyways, physically speaking, she's meant to be already sighting blood. Either way, says the Rambam, Avru Allah shleisha chadashim. The achar kach rasa, if this young girl has a sighting, and then 3 months pass, and then she has another sighting, daya shaita, we consider it to be an abnormal one, and it's only impure from here on out. Avru Allah shleisha chadashim acherim achar kach rasa, another 3 months pass, and she sees another sighting, daya shaita, it's still only impure from here on out. Once it happens 3 times, so like in a regular case, if it would be 3 flows, one after another, that would establish the chazaka. So here too, when you have 3-month intervals, till you have 3 times, you can say, you know what, these are all flukes. But once you have 3 times, 3-month intervals, so we've established a chazaka for these intervals. Now she sees blood every 3 months. It became normal. And therefore, even these sightings that are months apart become metam'ei mafreya, begin to communicate impurity even retroactively. Halacha dalet tinoikes she'igi azman alira is returning now to the girl who is 12 plus. It's her time to see. V'ra'asa pam rishayna, and she has 1 sighting, daya shaita, lenient, only from here on out. Shniya metam'ei mafreya, 2nd time, that's it. She's already becoming tamei retroactively. Avru aleha shleisha chadashim achar kach ra'asa, if 3 months pass after these 2 sightings, and then she has a new sighting, daya shaita. The 3 months cancel the original chazaka, and it's only impure from here on out. Another 3 months passed, and then she sees, now you got 3 times in a break of 3 months. Again, we say, hey, the intervals are not making it abnormal, that's just her new cycle. And therefore, she is metama also going backwards. Halacha hey, meuberes umenika, uskena upsula. She giazmanam lira is all 4 women now. The pregnant woman, the nursing woman, the elderly woman, and the girl who's 12 plus. It's her time to see. Sharo re'iyah rishayna. When they have a first sighting, dayan shaita. It's considered to be only impure from here on out. Ro pam shniya. Once they have a second sighting, mitamis lemafreya kechol anashim kemesha be'arnu. They have immediately going retroactively impure, like all women, as we explained. Just realize there's a big mistake over here. So all these 3 greens should be erased. The pregnant, nursing, and elderly only have 2 sightings, not 3. It's only the girl under 12 who has 3. Okay, let me just change that right now, actually. Here we go, it's changed. That's the correct way. The correct way is that whether you're pregnant, nursing, elderly, or 12 plus, you have 2 strikes till you're metam'ei mafreya. Now, however, if the initial sighting was not due to natural circumstance, but it was because of some other imposed circumstance, we've seen this before, a woman can jump up and down, eat something heavy, and this can cause her body to have a dysfunction of sorts. So, it doesn't count towards the number. Af bashniya dayan shaitan, and even in the second sighting, they'll be treated as if it's the first sighting, and we'll only say it's impure from here on out. Now the commentaries say it's not true in the opposite case. If the first sighting was in a normal circumstance, then the second sighting, even if it's ba'ines, even if it's an imposed circumstance, since it's number 2, at this point they're metam'ei mafreya, also going backwards. Halacha vav meuberes minika shara sadam. A pregnant woman or a nursing woman experiences a sighting of blood. 3 months pass, and then there's a new sighting. Daya shaita. The 3 months broke up the initial sighting, and it's still only impure from here on out. Another 3 months pass, and there's a second sighting, which is really the third. To the first sighting, so now you have a chazaka of intervals, so at this point she becomes tamei going backwards. And now says the Rambam, an interesting halacha. If a woman experiences a sighting of blood after her days of pure blood, as long as it's within 24 hours, daya shaita, the sighting only makes her impure from here on out. What does this mean? When a woman gives birth, we've seen many times, there's a period of impurity, 7 days for a boy, 14 days for a girl, and then there's a period of purity, 33 days for a boy, 66 for a girl. During that period of purity, even if she's bleeding, it's considered dam toyar, totally pure blood. Makes no difference, she's totally pure. Now, once those days end, she reverts to being a regular woman. But what's the law of a regular woman? Yesterday we said, if a woman examines herself and she finds blood, so she has to go backwards 24 hours to the last examination or the last 24 hours. A woman on her first day out of Dam Toihar cannot go back 24 hours because the last 24 hours was totally pure blood. It would make no difference. So since she can't go back 24 hours, we also don't go back to the last examination either. We totally ignore what happened in the past. And we say, Daya Shaita, special novelty. For the first sighting, if it's within 24 hours after the Dam Toyar ends, she is only impure from here on out. Now all the commentaries ask that who cares about this novelty? A woman for 24 months after birth is a menika. She's a nursing woman. Anyways, she's Daya Shaita. So that's a big question. I'll leave it for the students to answer. If you know any of the students online, if you know an answer to this, please leave it in the comments. At any rate, the Rambam is definitely saying that on this end, on the end of being a Yeledes, she has an extra dispensation for being Daya Shaita. The Chol Daya Shaita, says the Rambam, a general rule. Any woman who has this dispensation of getting impure only from here on out, even though she gets away with it and is not impure going backwards, she should still consistently check herself. A woman, even when they're old, even when they're pregnant, even when they're nursing, should do examinations as often as possible. Because every time you could potentially bleed, anything you're going to be handling becomes impure as well. Any woman who increases in checking is actually more praiseworthy. Except a woman who's a nida, or in her pure days after birth, examinations won't help them. A woman who's a nida for 7 days no matter what. A woman who's in pure days is pure no matter what. So no need for examinations then. By the way, today we don't say this so much. Today, since we don't have the idea of purity and impurity, it's better to check less only when required. Halacha Zayin, Chachamim, Tiknu Lehen Livnei Yisrael, the sages back then made an enactment for Jewish girls, Liyas Beitkes Atzman B'chol Yom, they should check themselves twice a day. B'shachris, Mipnei Tareh Shel Arvis, in the morning, to make sure that everything last night was pure. U'be'arvis, Mipnei Tareh Shel Shachris, and in the evening, to make sure everything in the day was pure. V'chol Echeles Truma, any woman who eats Truma, because she's a daughter of a Kohen or married to a Kohen, Beidekes B'shah She'echeles B'Truma, must check herself before she eats Truma. V'chol Isha Beidekes B'shah She'ivedes L'shamesh Mitasa. Also, every woman, any woman, should check herself before having relations, just in case she becomes impure, and things that she touches will become impure as well. But if she wasn't checking, or she wasn't dealing with produce or things that have to be kept pure, the checking is not required for her husband. If a woman has an established cycle, and she's presumed to be pure for her husband, as we explained in the subject matter of Nida, so this examination would be required to maintain the purity of anything she was involved in before. Halacha Ches. Cheskas b'nei Yisrael shalei higiu lepirkan b'cheskas tara. The presumption of Jewish girls who didn't yet reach the age of puberty, they're under 12, they're considered to be pure. Ve'enan nashim beitkes eisan, women don't even have to check them to inspect before they get involved in pure things that they're pure. Aval mishei higiu lepirkan, but once they reach puberty, tzriches bedika, they require examinations. V'nashim beitkes eisan, and they have to have adult women check them. Commentaries explain this is only between the age of 12 and producing 2 pubic hairs. Once the girl produces 2 pubic hairs, she herself is believed about her own status. No one else needs to inspect her. Halacha tes, hachereshes v'hashaita. A deaf, mute woman, a mentally unstable woman, a woman who is been possessed by some sickness. If there are normal, stable women that can help correct them by doing examinations for them, they can even eat truma. As long as another woman inspects her and sees that she's pure, she can eat truma. Halacha Yud, Kol Haksamim. We move on to the topic of stains that we mentioned yesterday as well, which is also a source of rabbinic impurity. Kol Haksamim haboyin mibein Yisrael. Any cloths with stains that come from an area among Jews, and the commentaries say it's a makom tzanua, it's more of a modest, private place, becheskas tuma, they're presumed to be impure. That's what Jews used to do with cloths with stains, they would kind of hide them away. Things, cloths with stains that come from an area mostly with residents that are Gentiles are presumed to be pure because Gentiles' stains don't have impurity. If cloths with stains are found out in the open in a Jewish city, to hide them, they're actually pure. And Jews are not suspect to throw away cloths with stains. They always hide them away. Lefikach, therefore, any cloth with a stain that you find in any open place, they're all pure, except for that which is found in holes, hidden away holes, and in the area surrounding Beis Hatuma. Beis Hatuma was a place where women who were nidas used to hang out, because they're anyways impure, no one wanted to get near them to become impure. So there, surely there could be cloths with stains that would be related to nida impurity. The kulan tumasan b'safek kamesh b'yarnu. At any rate, tuma associated with a stain is only a doubtful tuma. Halacha Yud Aleph, we remind ourselves of something which we learned in the 5th book, that when you have a kesem, when you have a stain of blood on a piece of clothing, and you don't know whether it's blood or dye, there's a special way to determine whether it's blood or dye. There's what's called shiva samimonim, the 7 ingredients. The 7 ingredients that Rambam listed them in the 5th book. Just to remind you, they are what's called reik tafel, saliva from a person who woke up and didn't eat anything. He also didn't talk too much, because when you talk, the saliva gets weaker, so it's very strong saliva. Number 2 is very well chewed porridge, beans. Number 3 is putrid urine. It's been in its status for 3 days. And then 4 types of different soaps: lye, niter, cumin powder, types of bleach. And there's a special order. You got to put them all in this order. And then, if you process the cloth with a stain with these 7 ingredients, if the shade gets lighter, that's a sign that it was a kesem, that it was an actual stain of blood, and it's tamei. If it doesn't get affected, then it's just dye. Okay? Now, that's with regards to nida. Says that Rambam with regards to impurity, kol aksamim Metam'ei, all impure or potentially impure stains, ma'avirin alein shiva samimonim. We must pass over them the 7 ingredients. The achar kach, and afterwards, bein avar hakesem, bein loy avar. Whether or not the stain went away, matbiloi v'toher. You have to put it in the mikveh, and only then is it considered to be pure for use. She'im loy avar klal, because if it didn't go away at all, harei utzeva, it's dye. V'im avar loy kaha, harei zekesem. And if it did go away, or it got lighter, then it's revealed to be a kesem of blood. But once you've put the 7 ingredients over it, you've nullified its status of blood, even if its mark is remaining. So as long as you put it into the mikveh, you remove the impurity and now it's pure. Commentaries all wonder, if it didn't go away and it's revealed to be dye, why does it need a mikveh at all? And the sages say that for taharos, for issues of purity and impurity, we're very machmer, we're very extra strict. Even if you have a cloth with a stain, that's definitely from blood of a nida. Once you put the 7 ingredients on it, it's cancelled, it's nullified, it loses its status. If you put it in the mikveh and it's totally pure, and you can literally use pure stuff in contact with it. Halacha Yud Beis, beged she'avad by kesem, a cloth that you lost a stain in it. There was a stain somewhere, but you don't know where it is. You must pass the 7 ingredients over the entirety of the cloth, then put it in the mikvah, and then it's good. If you lost some semen, which is also a source of impurity. If it was a new cloth, check it with a needle. You pass the needle through, and when it comes to a rough patch, that's where the semen is. If it was worn out, check it against the sunlight, and you'll see where the shade changes, that's where the semen is. Halacha Yud Gimel, beged shehayav kesem, you have a piece of cloth that has a stain on it, and instead of putting the 7 ingredients first and then putting it in the mikveh, you went the opposite. V'hit bila, you put it in the mikveh first. The asa al gab of tares, and then used it for pure things. The achar kach hevet al kesem shiva samimonim, and then you put the 7 ingredients on it. V'loy avar, and it didn't go away. Harei zetzeva, it's revealed to be a dye. The hatares sha'asa tares, so lucky you. All the things you used before are pure. With no need to put it in the mikveh again. But if now that you put the 7 ingredients, it actually goes away or lightens, which reveals that it's actually a blood stain, the hatares tmeyos. So now whatever you did before with it is impure. Because you, after the mikveh, you put the 7 ingredients. Why? You're obviously concerned with it. You want to get rid of it. If you want to get rid of it, now that you've revealed that it's a blood stain, retroactively it's revealed that it's impure, and you're done for all those pure things that you used. And to purify, you got to put it in the mikveh again, as you would typically do after putting the shiva samimonim on anything. Halacha Yudalit kesem shehevid alav shisha samimonim v'lo avar. Let's say you have a stain and you put 6 out of the 7 ingredients and it didn't go away. The achar kach hevid alav tzapoin, or some have saboin v'avar. And then instead of putting the 7th ingredient, you put some soap, and the soap got the stain away. Anything you do with that afterwards are actually impure. Even though this soap could remove dye, and therefore there's no proof that it's actually been blood, since you didn't put all 7 ingredients, it remains in the presumption of being a kesem. Maybe had you put the 7th ingredient, maybe it would go away, which would reveal that it was blood. So, therefore, the fact that you used soap or other ingredient works against you. What about if the soap didn't get it to go away? There's an argument amongst the commentaries if it's tamei or it's tahar. But definitely, if it removed it, you're in a state of tamei. Let's say you took the cloth, you applied the 7 ingredients, and nothing happened, which means that it's a dye. Then you put it a second time and it does go away, which is possible because after a second time, it's powerful enough to remove even dye. So now, says the Rambam, any pure things that you used with it between the first and second application of the ingredients are pure. Why? Because it's been revealed that it's a dye, and dye is no problem, it's pure. But interestingly, the any pure things that you contacted with it after the second washing, which actually removed the stain, are impure. Why? It was a dye. If it didn't go away at all, it means it's a dye, right? So nevertheless, as the Rambam and as the commentaries explain, this is a chumrah. Since you've shown that you really want to get rid of the mark, and when you remove a stain using the 7 ingredients, it typically means that it's a kesem. Yes, in this case, you have evidence that it's not because the first time it didn't go away. But typically, how does a kesem work? You have a stain, you put the 7 ingredients, then it goes away. So here too, when it went away after the second time, it looks like a kesem. So it's impure till you nullify it and put it in the mikveh. We already explained in the laws of forbidden relations what are the 7 species, the 7 ingredients that you put onto a stain, what they are, and how you're supposed to apply them. In a special way, you put each ingredient on 3 times going back and forth, following a certain order as we explained over there. A woman who dies and then blood exits her uterus, her vaginal canal. Metam'ei mishum kesem. It will communicate impurity as a stain if it ends up on a cloth. Because the uterus is considered to be an impure location. Even though the blood came out after she died, there's no woman to call a nida here. Since it came out from an impure location, it communicates the impurity of stains. Fascinatingly, if it had the quantity, the volume of a revius, which a revius of blood from a dead corpse communicates impurity, so we treat this blood both as coming from a live woman and a dead woman. Metam'ei ba'oyel, it communicates impurity like a corpse does. If you're in the same room as it, you become impure. Metam'ei mishum kesem, but we also consider it live blood, and it communicates the impurity of stains.